Who could have thought that my supposedly happy marriage would turn into a death warrant in a single day? On the day of my coming-of-age ceremony, I should have happily married into a wealthy family, but my father met with a tragic, unexpected death. Right after my father died, two men with ulterior motives came to propose to me, but they didn't know that my eyes, trained through years of struggling to survive, had long since seen through their bandit-like nature. Since they wanted to play the game of true and false husband, then I would show them by running away. Upon learning that I had fled, they were both dumbfounded with shock, and as if by prior agreement they set off to chase after me. I deliberately chose a secluded path to escape. As for Lu Zijin, relying on the tracking skills he had developed from his past days of robbing in the mountains, he followed behind me with full confidence. Shen Yanqing, relying on his attentiveness and wisdom, analyzed my direction based on a few threads of fabric caught on the branches. At this moment, because of hunger, I was clinging to a tree to pick fruit. Just as I was about to reach the fruit,
Miss Su Yao, why bother? It is so dangerous to climb so high. You'd better come back with me quickly.
Don't come over. Even if I fall, I won't go with you. As soon as the words left my mouth, my foot slipped and I fell straight down. Seeing this, Lu Zijin rushed forward to catch me, and we both crashed to the ground, rolling into a heap.
Brother Lu, what kind of act is this? Why are you rolling on the ground?
If I hadn't caught her, she would have been hurt.
I don't need you to worry about me. I can walk on my own. Seeing this, Lu Zijin and Shen Yanqing quickly caught up. During this journey of pursuit and spending time together day and night, the feelings between Lu Zijin and me began to change. On this day, the three of us stepped into a deep mountain forest. Just as we were immersing ourselves in the beautiful scenery of the forest, heavy rain suddenly began to pour from the sky. After searching for a while, we found a cave hidden between the mountain cliffs. Upon entering the cave, an uncomfortable chill rushed over us. I was already of a delicate constitution, and now I was shivering from the invading cold. Seeing this scene, Shen Yanqing, without a second word, rushed straight into the heavy rain to find dry branches.
Su Yao, you mustn't catch a cold. If you fall ill, my heart will ache terribly.
I looked at him, my heart filled with conflict. I didn't know if this man was being sincere or if he had an ulterior motive. As we spent more time together, Lu Zijin would often tell me stories about the strange and interesting things he saw during his travels. Without realizing it, I began to look forward to every conversation with Lu Zijin. As Lu Zijin and I grew closer, Shen Yanqing keenly sensed the subtle change in feelings between Lu Zijin and me. One day, Shen Yanqing came to find me.
Yao, I can clearly see the mutual affection between you and brother Zijin. I do not wish to stand between you two, so I shall bow out.
Hearing these words, guilt surged in my heart like a tide, but caught in the whirlpool of love, I had no idea that a massive crisis was quietly approaching. Actually, through his time spent with me, Lu Zijin's genuine feelings for me made him think of giving up the plan to seize the Su family fortune. So, one night, he quietly slipped into a secluded corner of the inn's backyard, preparing to write a letter to tell the bandits of Feigning Ridge to call off their evil plan. While he was fully focused on writing the letter, he didn't notice a pair of eyes closely watching his every move. In truth, Shen Yanqing had long harbored suspicions about Lu Zijin and had been secretly keeping an eye on his movements. At this moment, Shen Yanqing, hidden in the shadows, watched Lu Zijin's unusual behavior. The doubts in his heart grew even stronger. Meanwhile, as I spent more time with Lu Zijin, I also noticed some strange things. Although Lu Zijin claimed to be a scholar, the calluses on his hands is actually the kind only found on those who have held weapons for years. Once, when he went out, I curiously examined his jade pendant and discovered that his jade pendant seemed to be a fate. Right at this perilous moment, the gears of fate quietly began to turn. By chance, under the eaves of the inn, I intercepted Lu Zijin's carrier pigeon. After opening the letter, I discovered that Lu Zijin seemed to have close ties with Feigning bandits, and at the same time, my father's death was closely linked to him. After reading the letter, I held back the intense pain and anger in my heart and stumbled to find Shen Yanqing. When I saw him, my tears poured down, and I told him everything.
Yao, do not be afraid. If we work together, we will surely bring the truth to light and get justice for your father.
Afterward, Shen Yanqing and I decided to venture into the tiger's den to investigate Lu Zijin. When a good opportunity arose, while Lu Zijin was out, I quietly slipped into his room. In the corner of his desk, I found a slip of paper. Shen Yanqing recognized the place name on the paper, which turned out to be similar to a secret stronghold of Feigning Ridge. As the investigation went deeper, we finally learned that my father's death was entirely due to Lu Zijin's greed. He had sent his men to set a deadly ambush, and after brutally murdering my father, he disguised himself as a scholar to get close to me, attempting to take all of the Su family's fortune for himself. Upon learning the truth, I felt as if my heart were tearing apart. Lu Zijin, I will make you pay for this in blood.
Yao Yao, do not be rash. We will surely avenge your father.
However, Lu Zijin has already noticed something, and the situation is becoming increasingly critical. Our future actions must be even more careful and meticulous. But in truth, Lu Zijin had already noticed the change in Shen Yanqing's and my attitude toward him. To prevent his years of planning from going to waste, he gathered the men of Feigning bandits, preparing to launch this final battle ahead of schedule. That night, Lu Zijin sent out a messenger to deliver the news to the Feigning bandits. We witnessed this entire scene. I knew that a storm of life and death struggle was about to sweep over us. On this day, Shen Yanqing and I were hurrying along the mountain path. Because we had heard some clues regarding Lu Zijin, we were determined to go and seek the truth, but we had no idea that danger was quietly closing in on us. As it turned out, in the shadows, Lu Zijin had already brought the bandits of Feigning bandits to set up an ambush. He sat high upon a tall horse, his eyes cunning and cold. The bandits beside him all held sharp blades, their faces full of malice. With the sound of a whistle, Lu Zijin led the bandits as they surged out like a tide, surrounding us completely.
Su Yao, Shen Yanqing, where do you think you are going?
Faced with Lu Zijin's arrogant provocation, threats, and enticements, Shen Yanqing shielded me behind him.
Lu Zijin, do not be so arrogant. Your evil deeds will catch up to you sooner or later.
Hemp, might makes right. The sword in my hand is the law. Su Yao, you had better be sensible. Come back to Feigning bandits with this young master, and I guarantee you will want for nothing. Otherwise, do not blame me for being ruthless.
You mad, ruthless villain. If you think you can make me submit, you are utterly delusional. Hearing this, the bandit Wang Armazi was the first to strike.
Boss, why waste words with them? Just take them down.
With those words, he lunged at Shen Yanqing first. Although Shen Yanqing was highly skilled in martial arts, he was outnumbered, and bloody wounds soon appeared on his body. Seeing that Shen Yanqing was overwhelmed, I picked up a tree branch and rushed toward their weak spot, trying to create a distraction, but I was quickly surrounded as well.
Ha 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 ha. Take them back to Luyun Fortress. I wanted to see just how long Su Yao can keep acting tough.
In the end, we were blindfolded and taken to Luyun Fortress. After being brought back to Luyun Fortress, I was taken straight to a room that was decorated quite elegantly, just as I sat on the edge of the bed, thinking about how to deal with Lu Zijin.
Su Yao, you must have been frightened.
Lu Zijin. How exactly did my father die? Did it have something to do with you?
You misunderstand me. Your father's death was the work of those villains from Mount Chilin. As long as you marry me, I will surely avenge him for you, and then we can start anew.
Listening to his words, I sneered in my heart. Save your hypocrisy. If the killer is not brought to justice, I will never marry anyone. Hearing my words, Lu Zijin's tenderness vanished in an instant, and he stormed off with a dark expression. Meanwhile, Shen Yanqing was roughly shoved by Wang Armazi and thrown into a dark, damp dungeon. The dungeon was filled with the stench of decay, and many haggard merchants were imprisoned inside.
Quiet down. All of you, quiet down. Once your families bring the ransom, we will let you go.
Once Wang Armazi had walked away,
I was leading a caravan to deliver a shipment of silk to the neighboring town. When we passed near this Feigning fortress, a group of bandits suddenly rushed out and robbed us. Every one of them was fierce and brutal. Without a word, they snatched all our goods.
Me too. My small business relied entirely on the tea leaves I was transporting this time. Brother, why were you locked up here?
To uncover the truth.
The bandits of Feigning Fortress have committed countless atrocities. They don't care about our lives at all.
I must rescue Yao Yao and save these innocent people.
For the next few days, Shen Yanqing began searching for weaknesses in the cell. Finally, near the base of a wall, he discovered a slightly sharp stone. Every time the guards changed shifts, there would be a brief moment of laxity. Shen Yanqing silently noted this information.
We cannot just sit here and wait for death. We must formulate a thorough plan.
Although everyone had doubts in their hearts, at this moment, they could only pin their hopes on Shen Yanqing's decisiveness and wisdom. Inside the main hall of Feigning Fortress, Zijin was drinking heavily from a wine jar alone. His heart was filled with sorrow and bitterness, unwilling to accept being rejected by me like this. Just then, the advisor walked in, waving his feather fan, and made a sinister suggestion with a sharp look in his eyes to use Shen Yanqing's life to coerce me into submission. Hearing this, Wang Ermazi agreed.
The advisor is right. We'll threaten her with the lives of Shen Yanqing and those merchants. Let's see if she still dares to refuse.
Numbed by the alcohol, Zijin narrowed his eyes. Ultimately, he made the decision to follow the advisor's venomous scheme, to risk everything on a single throw. The advisor took his orders and left, beginning to make preparations for the grand wedding. Meanwhile, having just woken up, I stared at the unfamiliar ceiling, my heart filled with longing and hatred.
Miss Su, don't be ungrateful. It is your good fortune that the chief has taken a liking to you. In these chaotic times, only the chief can keep you safe.
You bandits killed my father. And you dare talk to me about good fortune? I would rather die than submit to him. Go tell Zijin that his wishful thinking is in vain. Even if I am torn to pieces, I will get justice for my father. Startled by my imposing manner, Wang Ermazi took a step back. He then gave me a fierce glare, turned around, and strode away. Over the next few days, Zijin would occasionally come to pretend to visit me. He always wore a self-righteous smile on his face, trying to strike up a conversation with me, but I always kept my back turned to him, telling him not to waste his efforts anymore. This evening, I was praying to the setting sun in the courtyard, hoping to escape this predicament soon and bring the truth to light. Then, I ran into the hurried strategist.
Ha ha ha.
Sneaking around here. What kind of conspiracy are you plotting now?
Look at this Feigning stronghold. Our troops are strong, and horses are well fed. Miss Su, I advise you not to be so stubborn. Agreeing to become our chief's wife is your good fortune.
Save your breath. I will absolutely never associate with the likes of you. During the days I was trapped in Feigning stronghold, although I appeared submissive on the surface, I was secretly observing the layout of the stronghold very carefully. Finally, in this maze-like stronghold, I found an escape route. Then, I gathered information through the lackeys who delivered food, pinpointing the general area where Shen Yanqing was imprisoned. On a dark and windy night, I avoided the patrolling torches and cautiously made my way to the edge of the prison. When I saw Shen Yanqing through the cold stone wall, his voice, trembling with pleasant surprise, made my nose tingle with tears.
Yao, are you all right? Did Zijin do anything to you? Are you hurt?
Yanqing, I'm fine. How are you? Are your injuries serious? Were the others captured and brought here too?
I'm fine. Everyone else is a passing merchant. They were all captured and brought to the stronghold by the bandits of Feigning stronghold. We are currently discussing an escape plan.
I have already mapped out the layout of the stronghold, and I've also found an escape route, but we must devise a foolproof plan, and we also need to report this to the authorities, so the government can completely wipe out these bandits. Then, everyone began to conspire, with each person offering different ideas. However, we did not know. While we were plotting, the advisor had already chosen an auspicious date outside and announced that 3 days later would be the day Zijin and I wed. In the evening, as I was in my room thinking about our escape, a sudden rush of hurried and chaotic footsteps broke my train of thought. Immediately after came the heavy breathing and shoving of the bandits.
Miss Su, 3 days from now is an auspicious day. You will marry our chief then. Ha ha ha. You'll become the lady of Feigning stronghold. This is your good fortune.
I will never agree to this. Stop your wishful thinking.
Ha ha ha, humph. Little lady, don't be ungrateful. If you don't comply, those people's lives will be forfeit.
Hearing this, my heart tightened. I want to see Zijin. I have something to say to him in person, and I must see Shen Yanqing to confirm that he is well. Otherwise, I will not consider your demands. The advisor gently waved the feather fan in his hand, signaling the bandits to be quiet.
Miss Su, your request is not unreasonable. I shall take you to see the chief and that Shen Yanqing. I only hope you won't be so stubborn when the time comes.
I raised my chin slightly and followed the advisor out with a determined gaze. Along the way, the bandits surrounded me closely, their eyes filled with ill intent. When I found Lu Zijin, he was sitting on the tiger skin chair in the main hall, with a trace of anticipation and unease in his eyes.
Yao Yao. You are finally willing to see me. You must know that 3 days from now is our auspicious day. I have already had them start the preparations. The wedding will surely be grand and spectacular.
Lu Zijin, don't celebrate too early. I came here with conditions. I want to go down the mountain to purchase my dowry. This is a major event for a woman's marriage, and it cannot be done carelessly.
Go down the mountain to shop. Don't think you can take this chance to escape. You know, the lives of Shen Yanqing and those merchants are all in my hands.
If you distrust me so much, then we don't have to get married at all. Though I, Su Yao, am weak and defenseless, I am by no means someone who will submit to blackmail. You keep saying your affection for me is deep and true, but is this how you treat me?
Yao Yao, it is not that I don't trust you. It is just that the world is unpredictable. If you truly intend to marry me, going down the mountain to buy dowry is not out of the question. But I will have men follow you closely. If anything goes wrong, you know what the consequences will be.
Lu Zijin, how long do you intend to keep me in prison? I have already agreed to marry you, yet you still press me so hard at every step. Are you not afraid that I would rather die than submit, leaving you with absolutely nothing in the end? Just as those words were spoken, Shen Yanqing was brought in, guarded by the bandits. Though he was covered in wounds, he paid them no mind at all, his eyes fixed intently on me. He suddenly broke free from the bandits' restraint.
Yao Yao, you cannot jump into this fiery pit because of me. I, Shen Yanqing, was born ordinary, but because of you, I found something to cherish. I am willing to give my life to exchange for your freedom. Do not worry about me. Go, quickly.
Yanqing, how can I abandon you and the others to escape alone? We share our trials and tribulations. We must find a way out together.
No, you don't understand. You are my last warmth and attachment in this world. If you fall into a desperate situation because of me, I will have no peace even after death. Lu Zijin, you villain, if you dare to harm her in the slightest, even if I am in the underworld, I will surely turn into a vengeful ghost to claim your life.
Do you think you are still in a position to negotiate with me? Today, I will let you know the consequences of opposing me.
As long as I am here, don't even think about succeeding. Yao Yao, run.
Lu Zijin, if you kill him, I will certainly not live on in this world, and you will never get what you want either. A few days later, in Feigning Ridge, a wedding was being prepared with great bustle and excitement. The bandits, usually fierce and evil, were now all busy hanging lanterns and decorations. Lu Zijin was personally involved in decorating the fortress. He directed everyone, arranging everything in an orderly manner. In a quiet corner of the fortress, I sat quietly at the table, drawing a map of Feigning Fortress with the brush in my hand. Before long, a detailed map of Feigning Fortress appeared on the paper. After drawing, I smoothed my skirt, stood up, and prepared to go down the mountain to buy wedding items. Seeing this, Lu Zijin sent a few bandits to protect me as I went down the mountain to shop. At the foot of the mountain, I bought fabrics from one shop and jewelry from another, while also looking for an opportunity to send a message. As I was walking on the street, I suddenly had a sudden inspiration and thought of a way. So I decided to go to an inn first to get something to eat. While eating, I approached the bandits with a smile as warm as a spring breeze on my face. Brothers, I'm going to the back of the inn to relieve myself. These things, I'll have to trouble you brothers to watch over them for me. Is that all right? The bandits, caught off guard by my gentleness and politeness, became a bit hesitant. Don't tell me you want to follow me too. I am your boss's woman. Are you trying to bully me?
We wouldn't dare. We wouldn't dare. Then, madam, please be quick. If you're late, we won't be able to explain it to the boss.
Don't worry, I won't make things difficult for you brothers. Once out of the bandits' sight, I pulled out a secret letter and hurriedly walked up to a young man. Excuse me, young man, I am truly at my wit's end, and can only beg you to do me a huge favor. Could you please deliver this letter to the Su family? This is a matter of life and death for me.
This is a matter of life and death. Don't worry, miss. Even if I have to risk my life, I will definitely deliver this letter.
Young man, you are my savior. Words cannot express my gratitude. I will repay your kindness in my next life, even if I must serve you as a beast of burden. With that, the young man ran off as fast as he could. The Su Manor.
Who are you? Why are you knocking on the door in such a panic?
Brother, I am just a traveler passing through the mountains. I met a young lady on the road. She looked extremely anxious. She begged me desperately to deliver this letter to the Su Manor. Seeing how pitiful she was, I agreed.
As he spoke, he handed over the letter in his hand. On the envelope, the words "to be opened by the Su family" were written in small characters. Seeing this, the attendant turned and walked quickly toward the inner courtyard. He handed the letter to the housekeeper.
What is making you so flustered? You have completely lost your composure.
When he opened the letter and quickly scanned its contents, his face instantly turned pale.
The eldest miss has actually been kidnapped to Feigning Ridge, and she is being forced into marriage. What on earth should we do?
He turned around immediately and hurried out of the manor.
Quickly prepare a chest of gold. Hurry.
Before long, the housekeeper, accompanied by servants carrying a heavy chest of gold, walked briskly to the government office.
Please announce my arrival.
The housekeeper of the Su Manor requests an audience with the county magistrate. There is an urgent matter to discuss.
The bailiff went inside. Shortly after the announcement, the housekeeper was led into the main hall of the county office. At this moment, the county magistrate was sitting upright in the main hall.
Your Honor, please seek justice for my family. Our eldest miss, Su Yao, has been kidnapped by the bandits of Feigning Ridge. Our master, Su Cheng, was also murdered by those bandits of Feigning Ridge. I beg your honor to seek justice for our family.
As he spoke, he motioned for the servants to bring forward the chest of gold. The county magistrate had been squinting slightly in deep thought, but when he saw the chest of gold, the corners of his mouth curled up involuntarily.
Housekeeper Su, rest assured, wiping out bandits is my duty as the local official. The bandits of Feigning Ridge are so audacious to dare kidnap Miss Su. This official will certainly not show them any leniency.
After returning to Feigning Ridge, I carefully observed my surroundings. When everyone's guard was down, I came to the prison once again. Brother Shen, I have successfully reported this to the authorities. The magistrate has decided to take action tomorrow. They will launch a raid during the wedding of the Feigning Ridge bandit chief. As long as we coordinate from the inside and outside, we will surely round them all up in one go.
Yao, that is wonderful. You can finally avenge Uncle Su. I will discuss this with the others. You should head back first to avoid raising Zijin's suspicions. Wait for us to rescue you tomorrow.
Fine. Tomorrow, we must ensure these evil villains have no way out and cannot escape even if they had wings. Meanwhile, on Zijin's side, he was joyfully preparing for tomorrow's wedding. However, amidst this joy, a shred of doubt followed him like a shadow. As night fell and the bright moon hung high, Zijin paced back and forth in the stronghold's assembly hall. His brow was furrowed tightly, and a hint of unease showed in his eyes. After a long while, he stopped pacing. Go and bring me the brothers who were following Su Yao. Before long, a few bandits walked in, trembling with fear.
When you were following Miss Su today, did you notice anything unusual?
One bandit summoned his courage and looked up, his eyes shifting uneasily.
Chief, Miss Su seemed quite normal today. It was just when we were at the inn. She said she wanted to go to the back to relieve herself. We kept watch outside and didn't notice any unusual activity.
Just to relieve herself. Did anyone else approach her? Were there any strange actions or words?
No one else approached her. Miss Su came out very quickly and didn't say anything strange.
Zijin fell into deep thought. With his hands clasped behind his back, he slowly paced around the hall. After a long silence, he slowly raised his head, his face grim.
Go and call the advisor to me.
The advisor came running all the way.
Chief, what is causing you such worry and vexation?
Zijin shared his doubts with the advisor.
Chief, I fear this wedding is fraught with hidden dangers. To be safe, why don't we call it off for now and make plans for the long term?
No, this wedding must go ahead on schedule. Go immediately and deploy more men to fully reinforce our defenses. I'd like to see who has the sheer audacity to stir up trouble here at my wind cloud stronghold.
Chief, you must think this over. For the sake of one woman, why take such a massive risk? It is truly not worth the loss.
Say no more, my mind is made up.
Hayes, very well, Chief. As the saying goes, a beautiful woman is a hero's downfall. So be it. I will surely reinforce our defenses tomorrow. The brothers will face this with you.
Fine, Su Yao. Since you dare to play this game with me, I will play along with you to the very end. If you win tomorrow, my life will be handed over to you on a silver platter. But if I win, do not blame me for being ruthless.
At the Wind Cloud stronghold, the wedding preparations had finally reached their final stage. I sat upright in the bridal chamber. At that very same moment, the county magistrate stood with great dignity in front of the gates of the county office.
Today, we must wipe out the bandits of the Wind Cloud stronghold. There must be no mistakes. Not a single slip-up is allowed. Once the deed is done, I will personally reward you according to your merits and handsomely recompense you all.
Subsequently, they formed neat, orderly ranks and marched in a grand procession toward the Wind Cloud stronghold. Meanwhile, in a corner of the stronghold, Shen Yanqing and the merchants were anxiously carrying out their plan. Finally, with everyone's concerted efforts, the lock was pried open. Taking advantage of the bandits' lax guard during their shift change, they quickly rushed out. While Shen Yanqing and the merchants were escaping, they accidentally discovered a large stockpile of provisions. Seeing this, his eyes gleamed, and having a sudden inspiration, he decisively set fire to the provisions. In an instant, the flames soared into the sky. At this moment, inside Feigning stronghold, the matchmaker, with a face full of smiles, was busy welcoming the bride. The sound of gongs and drums echoed throughout the entire stronghold.
Bow to heaven and earth.
Chief, this is bad. Our provisions have suddenly caught fire.
Then why are you still standing there like an idiot? Hurry up and go.
Hearing this news, I rejoiced secretly, yet remained calm on the surface. Zijin suspected that this matter was highly related to me, but he quickly suppressed his anger.
Come, it is just a minor matter. Let us continue.
And at this very moment, the government officers had already quietly slipped into Feigning stronghold. They were well trained and agile in their movements, killing the guarding bandits one by one. Then, like ghosts, they approached the inner stronghold step by step. Coincidentally, Shen Yanqing happened to meet up with the officers at the foot of the mountain.
Officers, the situation inside the stronghold is complicated. Su Yao is still inside. His situation is dangerous. You must help him. Officers, I beg to act together with you. I must rescue Su Yao. To me, he is more important than my own life.
So everyone braced themselves and quickly advanced toward the inner stronghold. Meanwhile, the wedding was being held inside the stronghold. As they were preparing to perform the formal wedding vows, I seized the right moment, suddenly pulled a hairpin from my sleeve, and pressed it against Lu Zijin's neck. Step back and let me leave. I have Lu Zijin in my hands now. Otherwise, I will kill him. The scene instantly erupted into complete chaos.
Yao Yao. You are just a weak woman who can't even lift a finger. Do you really think you can walk out of Feigning Ridge? Put down the hairpin and I will let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless.
Hearing these words, the bandits all glared with furious eyes. Just as the tension reached its peak, the officers and Shen Yanqing suddenly arrived.
Listen up, bandits. Drop your weapons and surrender immediately.
Su Yao. You truly have a heart of stone. I gave you my sincere devotion, yet you treat it with such contempt.
Seeing this, the bandits grew extremely agitated.
Chief, let's fight them to the end. Chief, kill this woman. We'll fight them to the death.
Ermazi, don't be reckless. Ermazi, don't be reckless. We can use Su Yao as a hostage to escape the stronghold first. Chief, for the sake of our brothers' lives, please think twice.
Lu Zijin furrowed his brows, a trace of struggle flashing in his eyes, which then turned incredibly ruthless.
Break through. All of you get out of my way. Otherwise, don't blame me for ruthlessly taking his life.
Clear a path. Let them go.
Lu Zijin, if you dare harm Yao Yao in the slightest, I will make sure none of you escape alive.
Kill them. Don't let these bandits escape. Lu Zijin, what right do you have to accuse me? You brutally murdered my father. And you used innocent lives to blackmail me into marriage. Now you are even holding me hostage. Is this what you call your sincere love? In an instant, the bailiffs charged at the bandits. The battle cries shook heaven and earth. Not to be outdone, the bandits waved their weapons and met the charge. During the chaos, the bailiffs killed Wang Ermazi and the strategist one after another. As his men fell one by one, Lu Zijin fell into a final state of madness. Although he possessed superb martial art skills and astonishing lethality, under the siege of the bailiffs, his physical strength gradually gave out.
Surrender. You have no way out. Surrendering might still give you a chance to live.
Ha ha ha, I Lu Zijin will never surrender. Unless I die. Otherwise, never.
With that, he tried to break through the siege and charged at the bailiffs. However, the bailiffs quickly formed a circle. He lunged left and right, slashing at the shields time and again, but he could never break out of this cage. How many people do you have to kill before you stop? Just stop.
Lu Zijin, surrender.
A moment of confusion appeared in his eyes, but in an instant, his gaze became resolute again. He let out a loud shout, gathered all his strength, leaped into the air, and delivered a fierce flying kick. Before the men could dodge, they were kicked to the ground.
I, Lu Zijin, will never surrender. I would rather die in battle. I didn't lose. I only lost to you. I thought that as long as we got married, you would return to my side. We were clearly just one step away from you becoming my bride. You said I owe your father a life. Fine, I will return it to you now.
With that, he raised his broadsword and suddenly held it against his own neck. In an instant, a mist of blood sprayed into the air and then fell to the ground like red raindrops. Seeing this scene, I was dumbfounded with shock, staring blankly at Lu Zijin. After a moment, the bailiff was the first to snap out of it.
What are you all standing around for? Clean up the battlefield.
Shen Yanqing, ignoring his own injuries, rushed in front of me.
Yao, don't be afraid.
It is all in the past. Watching this, the head bailiff stepped forward with slight embarrassment.
Young Master Shen, this is no place to linger. I will assign a few men to escort you two away first.
In the end, everyone dragged their exhausted bodies, bringing the remaining captured bandits as they slowly marched toward the county seat. The next day, at the county magistrate's office, the county magistrate, dressed in his majestic official robes, sat solemnly in the courtroom. Below the bench stood the bailiffs, lined up in an orderly fashion.
The remaining bandits shall be publicly beheaded tomorrow at noon according to the law.
Ah, good. Justice is served. Heaven has eyes.
Afterward, Shen Yanqing accompanied me as we walked toward the Su Manor. Soon, the gates of the Su Manor came into view. Just then, I saw housekeeper Su already waiting anxiously at the entrance.
Miss, you are finally back.
He looked me up and down, checking from front to back. Those despicable bandits.
Did they hurt you?
Housekeeper Su, I'm fine. Thank you for your hard work during this time. If you hadn't taken such good care of the Su family restaurant, I wouldn't have been able to leave home so willfully.
Haha, it is good that you're fine. This old servant can finally rest easy. And this is...
He is Shen Yanqing, my true fiancé.
Wonderful, truly a match made in heaven. Please, come in quickly. Let's go inside the manor first. Let's not stand here at the entrance.
Housekeeper Su quickly ordered the servants to prepare hot water and had the kitchen carefully prepare some nourishing dishes. By now, the table was filled with steaming hot dishes.
Miss, young Master Shen, you must both be exhausted. Please, eat quickly.
I don't have much of an appetite.
Yao, eat a little. You need to regain your strength.
With that, he personally ladled a bowl of hot soup and handed it to me. I took the soup bowl and managed to drink a few sips. After the meal, Shen Yanqing accompanied me for a walk in the courtyard. Yanqing, this experience has taught me a lot. Life is so fragile. Yet you have always been by my side protecting me.
Yao, say no more. I will always be by your side, never to leave you.
As we were speaking, Steward Su came over in a hurry.
Miss, young Master Shen, someone outside claiming to be a servant from the Shen residence requests an audience.
I'll go take a look.
Young master, madam is consumed with anxiety at home. The master is currently unconscious and only hopes you can return as quickly as possible.
Hearing this, Shen Yanqing felt as if struck by lightning.
I understand. Thank you for traveling all this way to bring the news. You may rise now. I will inform Yao Yao of this right away, and then pack my bags to set off. Yao Yao. My father is critically ill. I must return to my family home in Jiangnian.
I will go with you. I am your fiancé after all. At a time like this, I should be by your side.
Yao Yao, it is a long journey, and the situation at home is uncertain. I fear you will suffer.
I am not afraid, as long as I can be with you. I can bear any hardship. We then informed Butler Su of the situation at home.
Miss, it will be a grueling journey. You must take extra care. You don't need to worry about the restaurant. I will manage everything properly.
Steward Su, I leave everything in the manor to you. You must also take good care of yourself.
Steward Su, thank you for your understanding and care. When Yao Yao and I return, we will surely reward you handsomely.
Then, we hurriedly began to pack our luggage. In front of the gates of the Su Manor, the atmosphere was solemn and hurried. Steward Su paced back and forth nearby, tightly clutching a handkerchief in his hand. A sturdy carriage was parked quietly there.
My lady, this journey is long and arduous. You must take good care of yourself. Young Master Shen, your family has many matters to attend to, but please do not grieve too much. This old servant hopes for your safe and early return.
Steward Su, words cannot express my gratitude. I leave everything in the Su Manor to you.
You must also take good care of yourself. Do not overwork yourself. Then, Shen Yanqing boarded the carriage first. He turned around, extended his hand, and helped me up into the carriage. Once we were settled, the sound of the whip cracked, and the carriage slowly set off. Inside the carriage, I leaned gently against Shen Yanqing's shoulder, silently praying in my heart that we would reach the Shen family as soon as possible. We traveled without stopping along the way. The sound of horse hooves echoed through the quiet night. Finally, we arrived at the Shen Manor. As soon as Shen Yanqing stepped into the manor, Mother Shen came out from the main hall to greet him.
Yanqing, you're finally back. Your father's illness has grown increasingly severe.
Mother, this is Miss Su Yao, Miss Yao Yao. She is the fiancée you and father betrothed to me before we were born. When Yao Yao heard that father was gravely ill, she was deeply worried, so she came along with me.
Greetings, Auntie. We rushed all the way here. Seeing you so exhausted, I truly feel for you.
You are very thoughtful, young lady. This journey must have been extremely difficult.
Shen Yanqing was anxious and worried. After hastily explaining a few things to his mother, he quickly walked toward his father's room. I stayed behind and spoke in detail with Mrs. Shen about our journey. Shen Yanqing pushed open the door, only to see his father lying in bed, and his complexion was sallow. He weakly raised his hand, making a low, raspy sound from his throat.
Father, I'm back.
Keep a close eye on those restaurants in the east of the city.
Before long, I entered the room and came to the bedside to help Shen Yanqing take care of his sick father. Once Uncle Shen gradually fell asleep, Shen Yanqing and I quietly stepped out of the room. Mrs. Shen had already been waiting in the main hall for a long time.
Yanqing, ever since your father and your eldest uncle had a disagreement over the management of the restaurants, your eldest uncle moved out of the house in a fit of anger. Not long after, your father suddenly fell ill, and now he can't even get out of bed. I've called several doctors, but they all shook their heads and sighed. They only said it is a chronic poison, and we must find out what drug caused it to find an antidote. Now, your father's health is getting worse day by day.
Shen Yanqing and I exchanged a look, both seeing the doubt and vigilance in each other's eyes.
I have also suspected whether this poison was the work of your eldest uncle Shen Di. But in the end, there is no evidence.
Mother, please do not worry too much. I will definitely do everything I can to find out the truth. You have overexerted yourself these past few days. Go and get some good rest first. I will watch over father here. Please rest assured.
Shen Yanqing and I stayed at the estate and began to secretly investigate Uncle Shen's poisoning, but everyone claimed they hadn't noticed anything unusual. One day, while checking the accounts at the restaurant, Shen Yanqing unexpectedly discovered several unexplained expenses in the ledger. Those expenses were for large large amounts and their destination was unknown, which was highly suspicious. Just as Shen Yanqing was pondering this, his eldest uncle Shen Di suddenly arrived at the restaurant. When Shen Di saw Shen Yanqing, an unnatural look flashed across his face.
Oh, my dear nephew. You've only just returned, yet you're already taking over the restaurant. Aren't you being a bit too impatient?
Uncle, my father is gravely ill. I only want to find out the truth. Why did you suddenly leave home? And why are there issues with the restaurant's accounts?
Are you suspecting me? Although I had my differences with your father, how could I ever commit such a heinous act?
The two began to argue in the restaurant, drawing the attention of the onlookers.
Why are you afraid of me checking the accounts? Where did the money in these accounts go?
Huh. I have my own business dealings. I don't need to explain anything to you.
Shen Yanqing felt more and more that Shen Di was suspicious, but he was frustrated by the lack of evidence. As the investigation hit a snag,
Shen Di is cunning and calculating. He refuses to admit to anything at all.
perhaps we can start with those specific transactions, trace where the funds went, and maybe we'll find some clues. Shen Yanqing thought my suggestion made sense, so he began to investigate, following the clues in the accounts. Upon tracing the funds, he discovered that the money ultimately flowed to a mysterious apothecary.
Why did this money go here?
This was a normal business transaction. This old man cannot recall.
Just as Shen Yanqing was pressing for answers, a group of men in black suddenly appeared.
You shouldn't have poked your noses into this. You brought this on yourselves.
Shen Yanqing and I gradually found ourselves cornered. Shen Yanqing shielded me behind him.
Su Yao, be extremely careful.
With that, Shen Yanqing drew his sword and charged at the men in black. Not wanting to be a burden, I drew a dagger from my sleeve. Watching for the right moment, I lunged and stabbed the opponent in the ribs with a backhand strike. Taking advantage of the chaos, we ran toward the backyard of the apothecary.
Su Yao, there must be something suspicious about that room. Let's rush in.
After rushing into the small room, Shen Yanqing discovered that the papers on the table actually recorded some poison formulas. At this moment, the men in black also chased them into the small room. Shen Yanqing and I stood back to back, ready for a fight to the death. Just at this critical moment, the government constables came to the rescue.
Your Honor, look at this evidence. Shen Di is involved in this case. Please investigate thoroughly.
Before long, the constables brought shocking news. Shen Di had committed suicide. In his suicide note, he admitted to administering the poison.
There might be more to this behind the scenes. We cannot let it rest at this.
Later, we searched the city and finally learned from an old man
That Shen Di often met with a cold and sinister martial artist. Go to the East Gate Inn.
Following this lead, we caught that martial artist in the desolate forest.
Speak, what on earth were you and Shenda plotting? Why was my father poisoned? What is the truth?
If you confess truthfully, perhaps you can still receive a lighter sentence. Otherwise, you will face endless pain.
If you still don't speak, this sword won't show mercy.
I'll speak, it was. It was Wang An, the business rival of the Shen family. He found Shen Di. Wang An knew well that Shen Di had always wanted to become the head of the Shen family.
Give me a chance to leave? Wang and otherwise, I will go to the authorities and report you.
Huff, you want to report me? Shen Di, since you want to seek your own death so badly, then I will fulfill your wish of committing suicide out of fear of punishment.
This Wang An is truly insidious and cunning. Su Yao, let's head to the government office immediately and reveal the whole matter.
We must make sure he receives his deserved punishment. In the government court, someone has accused you of instigating thugs to murder Shen Den and poisoning Master Shen Jing. Do you plead guilty?
Your Honor, these are completely fabricated charges. This lowly citizen has always been law-abiding. How could I commit such an evil deed? I have no grievances or animosity with the Shen family. Why would I do such a wicked thing? Simona must be deliberately framing me.
Hump, bring in the witness.
Wang An, you despicable scoundrel. Do you still want to deny it now? You instigated me to concoct the poison. I can testify to every single detail. Do you still dare to say it wasn't your doing?
Your Honor, this is all fabricated by him. He wants to blackmail me. Your Honor, you must not believe him.
Wang An, The evidence is conclusive. Stop talking nonsense.
You utterly conscience-lacking fellow. You used to lord it over everyone daily, and now you've finally met your retribution.
A villain like this should be sliced into 1,000 pieces to appease the public's anger.
Wang An, your crimes are monstrous. This court sentences you to be paraded through the streets and beheaded at noon tomorrow.
Spare my life, Your Honor. Your Honor, I know my wrongs now. I am willing to surrender all my family wealth, only to beg Your Honor to spare my life.
After taking the antidote, Uncle Shen fully recovered. One day, Shen Yanqing took my hand.
Su Yao, this time father pulled through the danger, and your contribution is indispensable. I do not wish to wait any longer. I want to marry you in the Shen residence, and make you my partner for this lifetime.
Yanqing, I am also willing to spend my life with you.
The two of you have been through so much. Now that I have recovered and can see you two tie the knot, it is truly a great blessing for the Shen family.
On the wedding day, the Shen residence was decorated with lanterns and colored banners.
Dear relatives and friends, today is my son's wedding. Thank you all for gracing us with your presence. Please enjoy yourselves to the fullest.
Everyone, please make yourselves at home. If there is any lack of hospitality, I hope you will show forbearance.
Haha. The Shen estate is truly bursting with joy today. Young Master Shen and Miss Su are a perfect match. It is truly a match made in heaven.
A young gentleman teased Shen Yanqing.
Brother Shen, you won't be able to fool around with us anymore.
Ha ha ha. Not at all, not at all. Everyone, you must drink to your heart's content today.
Send them to the bridal chamber.
Su Yao, from this day forward, we are truly husband and wife. I will surely treat you well.
Yanqing, with you by my side, my heart is at peace.